midst of the torrential rainstorm, Tieu walked alone down the empty street. She held her phone in her hand, her steps quick and urgent on the wet pavement. As she scanned the screen, she asked every passerby, "Is he here? Have you seen him?" But all she received in return were indifferent shakes of the head. The silence around her made it feel like she had wandered into a strange, unfamiliar world. But she didn't give up. Everything seemed to be against her, yet hope had not faded. She decided to step into a nearby photocopy shop, hoping to find an important clue. But would the photos she printed help her continue the search for the man she had been waiting for so long? Stay tuned, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next thrilling developments. Recently, a major flood has left this area in ruins. The once familiar roads are now submerged under the rising waters, and the people are frantically trying to protect themselves and their belongings. The air is thick with tension, as if everything around them is on the verge of collapsing. Amid the chaos of a stormy day, Tieu walked alone through the flooded streets. The heavy rain seemed endless, washing away everything in its path. She paid no attention to the noise around her, her focus solely on finding one person, the man she had been searching for all these days. Her eyes scanned every street corner, every broken house, and every face that passed by, hoping to find some clue, even the smallest trace of the person she was looking for. Each step Tieu took felt like a battle with herself. She paused in front of old houses, quietly observing every detail, sometimes just a cracked wall or a broken window. She asked everyone she met along the way. Her questions echoed through the stillness, but the only answers she received were tired shakes of the head and strange, distant looks from people who didn't know the man she was searching for. There were moments when she felt like she was lost in an endless maze. The indifferent answers, the vacant stares, made it seem like she was trapped in a world with no help, no way out. Each time she asked, she walked away in silence, continuing her journey without knowing where it would lead. The roads seemed to stretch longer, each step heavier and more sorrowful. The floodwaters kept sweeping her forward, pushing her into dead ends, forcing her to face the growing sense of hopelessness within her. Each step now felt like an effort to resist the current of time and circumstance. She couldn't stop. She couldn't give up. Every time she looked ahead, a wave of anxiety rose within her. She wondered if he was still out there, or if he had been swept away by the floodwaters, lost in the ruins in a world she couldn't see. These questions echoed endlessly in her mind, and no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't find the answers. In the midst of the surrounding silence, Tieu felt herself sinking into an overwhelming loneliness. There was no one beside her, no one to help her. Each time she asked a passerby, the responses were vague, the looks devoid of any sympathy. It seemed like no one cared about the man she was searching for, and that indifference made her feel like a lost ghost in a world that had no place for her. But still, Tieu couldn't stop. She kept going, kept asking, kept searching. She knew that if she gave up, if she stopped, she would never have another chance to find him. Hope, however faint, was the only light left in her heart. She had told herself countless times that she had to be persistent to keep moving forward, because that was the only way to find him. But with every step, the exhaustion grew. It wasn't just the physical toll of walking all day, but the mental strain of constantly facing unsettling thoughts and unanswered doubts. 3 days had passed since the flood, but its traces were still clearly visible on every street, every house, and in the weary eyes of the people. Tieu walked down the narrow road, her eyes scanning relentlessly, hoping to find any clue about the man she was searching for. She stopped at an old woman's vegetable stall and asked her for directions to the nearest photocopy shop. Without hesitation, the woman pointed her in the right direction, where she could find what she needed. Tieu continued walking, her mind full of worry, but her heart still clung to hope. The flood still cast a shadow over every corner. She looked at the fresh vegetables, thinking about the people enduring the hardships brought by the disaster. She asked the old woman about the flood situation, and the woman replied that it had lasted for 3 days, with no signs of letting up. Every answer from her seemed to emphasize the hopelessness Tieu felt, but she couldn't stop, couldn't let that anxiety block her path. After thanking the old woman, Tieu continued her journey, heading toward a photocopy shop. She entered with determination, requesting to have some photos printed. The entire shop was silent except for the hum of the photocopy machine, a reminder that time waits for no one. After scanning the QR code and sending the photos to the shopkeeper, Tieu felt a momentary relief. But that relief was quickly replaced by a new tension when she received the printed photos and heard the amount she needed to pay. Tieu pulled out her wallet and handed the money to the shopkeeper. A mix of relief and worry filled her. Each detail in her search felt like a small piece of hope, but in her heart, there was still one question repeating over and over. Would she be able to find Truong amidst all these challenges? Would her small steps lead to a meeting, a clue that could help her escape the deadlock? This question lingered in Tieu's mind as she walked out of the shop holding the photos in her hands, her heart still heavy with worry. Even though she had made a small step forward in her journey, the feeling of unease still wouldn't leave her. She looked at the photos. Blurry faces, unclear addresses, details she might have ignored before. But now they were like tiny clues, possibly the key to continue searching, even if they didn't give her any certainty about whether she'd find Truong. Would Tieu's small steps lead to a meeting, a clue that would help her break free from the deadlock? She walked out of the photocopy shop, holding the photos, her mind filled with questions. Even though she had made a small advance in her journey, anxiety still gripped her. Every moment, every step Tieu had to face the uncertainty, the fatigue of this long, endless journey. She knew she couldn't give up, even when everything around her seemed to want to drown her hope. But she kept going, believing that one day she would find Truong. But would the photos in her hands help her do that? What would she do with these photos? These faint images, these faces that might have meant nothing to her before. Could these photos really be clues? Or were they just part of a past that felt too distant, no longer connected to the present? She wondered if these photos could bring her closer to Truong, or if they would just leave her more confused in this trail with no sign of him. In that moment, maybe she didn't know what to do next. But those photos, though small and faint, had a strange power, making it impossible for her to give up the search. And as the questions in her heart still went unanswered, she kept walking, each step a question with no answer, an ongoing effort to uncover the truth, whether it was a painful truth or one she couldn't expect. What would Tieu Nu do next? With the photos in her hands, could they help her break free from the deadlock? Or would she fall back into the spiral of doubts and despair? The answer would only be revealed in the next chapter of her journey. But one thing was certain, she wouldn't stop. Because hope, no matter how small, still shone brightly in her heart.